Good afternoon, guys. It's Amanda. Hello. We are fighting the heat here in the Hudson Valley today. Oh my goodness, 91 degrees, incredibly humid. When I got back from feeding all the animals before, because I made sure there were water bowls out everywhere for the birds, for the ducks, for the geese, for my animals, filled their kiddie pool. My hair looked like a chia pet when I got back in. And I had to refix it because the humidity is so high out there that your hair, there's no defenses. So I did that already, and I wanted to talk to you guys today out there, you wonderful, lovely people, about a dream I had last August, because we are at a point right now where we really need to petition the Lord for vision, okay? And the Lord does something very interesting with me with dreams. He allows me to remember in vivid detail the ones that are significant, and the ones that have no significance, He completely erases from my memory. So basically, it's a good system because it helps me to discern what is and what's not important from the Lord. Okay? So this particular morning, the Lord woke me up. It's funny, I was awoken, but then I was put back into a very deep sleep. Okay, and I'm going to talk to you about what I saw, because I believe we're at a point too where the Lord is going to show people parts of heaven, what goes on in heaven, so they can then tell others about the experience. Because I think there's a lot of people out there that are have some anxiousness about heaven and eternity. I, for one of them, have a hard time sometimes wrapping my head around all of it. So I'm going to read you this dream, and then we're going to talk, okay? So this is the dream, okay? Early this morning, I perceived the Lord briefly put me back to sleep. What happened when I fell back to sleep is something I have never seen before. This is true. I was in a corridor. So I was suddenly in this very long corridor. It had a three-sided boning, so it looked like this kind of, okay? So top, bottom. All along the corridor, okay? Three-sided boning, I would call it. With hues of blue that resembled sapphire. And it was a very long corridor that went from darkness to light, okay? And I was in the light part. And I heard a voice. It was an instructional voice, okay? Not of this world, seemingly, walking me through step by step what happens. What I was first told is that the minute somebody gets up into this corridor, okay, two things immediately happen. One, they are surrounded by warmth immediately. And two, all pain they have immediately dissipates. So these are the two things that happen. Then they are put, and I was shown this, in this clear protective looking force field. It molds to the body. Oh, it's a clear protective force field that they have to walk. Okay, so they can walk around the corridor in the force field, okay? This clear force field covers them for 52 days. The reason for this is the individual must adjust to their new body. So this force field covers them while they adjust to their new bodies, okay? After 52 days, which is interesting because 5 plus 2 equals 7, spiritual number of perfection, this clear force field dissipates, just dissipates. I saw it come down on somebody that was up there. And the individual is now free to roam about any part of heaven they like. I saw someone in this corridor who seemingly receives the newbies, I'll call them, coming in. I was only allowed to see their legs. This individual was so gigantic, they were wearing all white. I can only see from their leg to their waist. And their legs to their waist was my height, okay? So their waist was at, and I'm almost 5'9", so their waist was at the top of my head. So this was a huge being, like over 10 feet tall, okay? Had white-looking garb on and special shoes that almost resembled space shoes. These shoes had these white-looking tubes over them that went over each shoe, which kind of looks like a space shoe. It looked nothing like anything on this earth. I have never seen anything quite like them, okay, the shoes or this corridor. And it's funny because I rarely fall back to sleep in the morning. And it's like the Lord conked me right back now we're right back out. But what's interesting is I was given the impression that this was one of many trips for me into different parts of the heavenly realm. Because you have to understand, in the Bible, there is some writing about heaven, but we don't know everything there is to know about heaven or the procedure when somebody is in the process of dying and giving up their spirit to the Lord or right after they pass. And I have heard that others have seen this corridor that I've seen, and they have seen this white being in the corridor that I saw. And so I find it interesting, and I wanted to talk about one part of this, and I'm going to find it in here, basically, so we can talk about it. Let's see. Dissipates. Okay. They have to be put in this protective force field for 52 days to adjust to their new body. Now, let's think about this for a second. If somebody is sick and in a ton of pain and decrepit and physically limited, and suddenly they had a supernatural, invincible body, don't you think they would need to adjust to that? Don't you think that would take an adjustment period to go from being sick and decrepit to suddenly having a supernatural, perfect body, no sickness, all the strength you want, all the energy you want? That would take some adjustment maybe. And that's why maybe this clear force field that literally molds to the body is put on the person for 52 days while they adjust to their new body. And like I said, 5 plus 2 equals 7. Spiritual number of perfection. So I have a feeling this is a part of heaven for receiving some type of individuals. And I'm wondering if the Lord is going to give me more on this, because the way the corridor came, it was this long corridor that went from darkness to light, and then there was like this hexagon looking room that I was in where the people were received, where this being was with a clipboard. Like I said, I saw their waist and I saw the bottom of the clipboard because they were so tall. And they were writing on the clipboard and as people were being received. And so I think there's more of a procedure when people get to be with the Lord than sometimes we realize. And there's also parts of heaven that we're not aware of, that we may not become aware of unless the Lord reveals it, or we go to heaven and see, or when the Lord returns and we see. So heaven is still a mystery a bit, because there's some things in the Bible about it, but there's a lot to be desired still. There's a lot to be learned about the heavenly realm. So I have a feeling this is some sort of procedure that happens when some type of individuals come into the heavenly realm. And like I said, others have seen this corridor before. So I would, in this season, petition the Lord for vision about everything. Ask Him to open your spiritual eyes and your spiritual ears in the name of Jesus, to hear in the Spirit and see in the Spirit, so you can see beyond the veil, so you can see beyond the earthly realm into the things of the heavenly realm, because there's a lot that the Lord wants us to learn. And there's a lot that we can learn about what's coming ahead when we hear in the Spirit and see in the Spirit, because the spiritual realm doesn't run on the same time that the earthly realm does. And so that is the way sometimes for us to see what's coming before it happens, or to learn about different parts of the heavenlies from the Lord so others can learn. Because like I said, I think heaven provides a lot of anxiousness for people. And I think the Lord wants to soothe and ease that anxiousness that people have about eternity in the heavenly realm. And because it's very difficult to wrap your mind around, I think a lot of people get scared and get nervous about it. So I think in this season too, the Lord's going to open the windows of heaven. And He's going to allow people to see beyond the veil so they can tell others what's happening. what goes on in the heavenly realm and try to help people understand more and put their minds at ease about transitioning from the heavenly realm, from the earthly realm into the heavenly realm. So definitely petition the Lord for vision in this season and to remove the veil from your eyes so you can see in the Spirit and hear in the Spirit. Because the Lord in this season is opening up the windows of heaven, and we're going to see, like I said, everything hidden be exposed. A lot of change. And in this season, vision. So people are going to be given vision, and detailed vision at that, I believe. I believe all these things go hand in hand. I also believe this is a season of justice. We are going to see a lot of justice be handed down by the courts of heaven in this season. So if you're in need of vindication, trust the Lord to vindicate you. Let the Lord vindicate you. A lot of times we too quickly take matters into our own hands when we shouldn't be doing it. Seek the Lord about how much you should be taking matters into your own hands. Let the Lord vindicate you. You go on doing the assignment God has told you to do. You go on blessing people. Bless your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Ask the Lord to deal with them, to vindicate you because you are his child, because this is the season as well of justice. And the courts of heaven, like I said, are going to be handing down a lot of justice for a lot of God's children that have endured long, grueling battles where their characters have been under assassination. They have physically been hurt or injured by what's going on, where mentally they were under a complete attack and onslaught of attacks, and also where people were disparaging your reputation, where people were trying to destroy parts of your life because their lives are so dysfunctional, their lives are so chaotic, their lives are so destructive that they end up, anything they touch, they try to destroy. Well, in this season, those of you that have endured that, the Lord thy God, the God of justice, is going to vindicate you. I promise you. He does not leave his children in the lurch, and he is going to vindicate you in this season. So cleave to the Lord in this. Let him vindicate you when you're under attack by people, when people are trying to harm you, when people are trying to hurt you. Now, I'm not saying if something happens to you, like if there's a break-in or a robbery or a physical assault, no, you call the police, okay? You have to use wisdom. What I'm saying is those that have tried to attack pieces of your life and destroy them for their own greed, their own selfishness, their own secrets that they have hidden, their own dysfunction, their own destruction, the Lord is going to deal with those people, vindicate you, flush them out of your life, and give you new wineskins. He's going to get rid of the old wineskins, and he's going to give you new wineskins and new beginnings. And you just need to hold on to those promises and call the things that are not as though they were. And hang on for the ride right now, because it's going to be an incredible one in this season. God bless you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Keep the faith.